All right, viewers, disturbing news coming in, it seems, from the Afghan embassy. Their news break just coming in. It seems that there were no women journalists from India, mind you. We have the Taliban delegation with the Taliban foreign minister on Indian soil. We are giving them the full official protocol, but word has come in that no woman journalist was present in the press conference of the Afghan foreign minister Muttaqi today in Delhi. It's not that they weren't present of their own volition. They were barred to enter, to go inside and pose any questions to the foreign minister of Afghanistan and the Taliban. I'm joined right now by Geeta, who's going to give us more information that is coming in. Geeta, if at all it is correct, and give us more details, because I'm hoping that we didn't cow down to what the Taliban wanted. Were actually no women journalists allowed in that press conference? Did this press conference happen in the Afghan embassy, which is practically Afghanistan soil? Will you give us details?
Well, that's right, Preeti. The press conference of the Afghan Taliban foreign minister did take place in the compound or in the premises of the Afghanistan embassy here in New Delhi, and therefore, like you rightly said, it's Afghan soil. There was a lot of back and forth. The administration over here has been trying to handle a lot of things, from the flag issue of whether they should be sitting in front of the Taliban flag at all or not, and so there were no flags during the meetings, to the fact that since yesterday we've been trying, women journalists, not just me, and I've been on the beat for years, not just me, many women journalists have been trying to get into the press conference that we knew was going to be held by Minister Muttaqi as well. And we got no word, no permission, no invitation, but there were other journalists who were all invited through mail, through emails, and they all turned out to be the men in the fraternity, not women journalists.
Was this invite given by the Indian counterpart, our counterpart?
Preeti, this was a sole press conference solely handled by the Afghan embassy. There is a representative over here who sits in Bombay, and he was managing the entire press conference. But yes, it surely was cleared by Minister Muttaqi himself, whether if he would want to have women journalists there. We do not know whether if it is to do only with presence, but it's because it's not like they don't interact with women at all. It more so maybe had to do with the fact that a lot of tough questions on the situation of women in Afghanistan would have been posed to the minister. Any which way, not allowing women journalists in a country like India to be there in that room certainly does not bode well for the Afghan delegation, which is going to be here for a while now. He's also going to Deoband, to the Darul Uloom seminary where the Afghan Taliban or those from the Sunni faction really look up to. So he's going to be there, but certainly no access to women journalists, and a huge row or controversy over the Afghan flag, whether the old flag should still continue to fly at the embassy, or whether if they should have the new Taliban flag. The ones who are there from the previous administration did not allow the new flag to be put behind Minister Muttaqi, and therefore if you see the visuals of his press conference at the embassy as well, no flag was put up there. A lot of controversy, and amid all these controversy and complications, we are looking at, or the Indian administration, Modi administration, is looking at engaging this administration only because of the sensitivities and the geopolitics.
All of that apart,
the shifting politics.
For once, I would have really hoped that the External Affairs Minister was a woman in India, and but having said that, because this is also, one is amazed at what has really gone down. The sheer fact, Geeta, that we have accorded full official protocol to the Taliban delegation that is here. Has India, has there been a note of dissent? Has India lodged a complaint of our women journalists not being allowed where this press conference was taking place? Of course, it's foreign soil, it's the Afghan embassy. It's their prerogative who to invite and who to discriminate against.
Well, it might be their prerogative, but does not look well at all or look good at all, Preeti, that it happened on Indian soil. The fact that this press conference was held in New Delhi, albeit at the Afghan embassy, considered Afghan soil, it was held in New Delhi nonetheless. Whether if they can object or not, there should be a protest or a voice of dissent. We are yet to hear of what the reaction of Ministry of External Affairs or the Indian administration
Will
is
you
going
stay
to be
with
to
me?
this.
Geeta, will you stay with me? Because, I'll tell you, viewers, how interesting this is. Geeta Mohan, our foreign affairs editor, is a woman. I am joined right now by my colleague Pranay, who works alongside Geeta, our editor where foreign affairs is concerned. He was actually invited to this press conference and he is joining us right now from that venue. We're going to give out the frame that you see on your television screen is the foreign minister of Afghanistan, Muttaqi, there addressing an all-male journalist group. Pranay, if you're with me, is Pranay with us? Okay, we are going to cut across to Pranay in just about a minute. But Geeta, are we expecting, because there are so many of you who actually cover foreign affairs which were not given an entry into this press conference, is there now at least an attempt by the Indian government to lodge a formal note of dissent and a complaint?
Well, as of now, Preeti, we do not know whether there's going to be one or whether there already has been one. But we do understand that there was a lot of conversation in how this entire press conference will be held, where it should be held. Initially, there was also conversation that the press conference could be held at the dignitary's hotel where he's staying. But that would have meant Indian soil. Now, that would have raised matters and made it much, much worse. And over here, there are many who are from the earlier administration at the embassy. There are only a few who are those representing the Taliban administration, and therefore they were not very happy and did not want to allow Muttaqi press conference at the embassy. Nonetheless, after a lot of conversation to and fro, it was decided that the press conference will take place at the embassy, and it was most probably, Preeti, because keeping in mind that Minister Muttaqi would not have entertained women journalists, or they would not be allowed to
we are joined by Pranay, and once again, for those of you who are just tuning in and you're reading our news break, it is actually true. As a woman journalist, I am appalled today. As an Indian, I'm appalled today that you have the foreign minister of the Taliban coming in, addressing a press conference. Of course, it's happened at the Afghan embassy, so therefore considered technically foreign soil, but not allow a single woman Indian journalist while you're addressing a press conference to actually come in. My colleague Pranay, very competent, but surely on the basis of his gender today was given that pass to enter and attend that press conference. But Pranay, will you take us through on what really happened? Because many of us are yet to come and come to terms with the fact that this can actually happen in New Delhi.
Indeed, I think, Preeti, this was unusual. I am unable to put it in words because probably in my career of over 20 years of journalism, this is for the first time I have seen the gender-based segregation. But we only realized this thing after entering the press conference room, because we ended up finding that most of the men or male journalists were there in the press conference room. It was on invitation. It is right that it was on invitation. They called up, but it often such press conferences, such high-level interaction happen on the basis of selected invitation. Very few from every organization get the invite for interaction. But was there exactly a gender bias or the segregation or selection done by the Afghans? We do not know, because the embassy currently under the administration of the erstwhile government, but the Taliban leader Amir Muttaqi was addressing a press conference. It was also unusual. So many unusuals were there in that presser. But
women
indeed,
journalists try and enter the area where the press conference was taking place. Did they try and enter the Afghan embassy, considering some of them have been covering foreign affairs for decades? Did they attempt to gain access?
Some of the women journalists were there at the gate, but they were giving selective access, like, they were calling the names, they were asking people to check their name in the list, and then they were allowing, which is a usual process.
Was this an all-male list then? Because some of these women, whoever was woman and female standing outside that gate wasn't allowed entry. Were there any women inside at all, Pranay?
No, definitely there was no women journalist inside the room. There was no women at all in the press conference for that matter, because Mr. Muttaqi, his team, including everyone, were like, the male members of the press corps were there. So we do not know. But yes,
Pranay,
indeed,
was
there were
any question posed to Mr.
Yes.
Muttaqi on the condition, the discrimination, the gender appetite that is taking place in Afghanistan by any of the male journalists present?
Yes. Not only that, I personally, I have also asked that, if government of India has decided to enhance or to enlarge the visas for the Afghan nationals, how many women you are going to send for the education, for the higher education to India from Afghanistan, to which he responded that this is for the institutions to decide. This is for the institutions to work out the modalities, and they will eventually decide that who will be sent and how the Indian universities or education institutions will receive them. So definitely he was not forthcoming to respond to this
Pranay,
question.
was any
On the other
question
side,
asked of the Afghan administration now,
Yes.
that why were any women journalists denied access to this press conference, Indian women journalists?
Unfortunately, the questions were limited to the news topics there, and in fact, he left the press conference very abruptly. He said that I have some other engagements and I have to go somewhere. These are the prior commitments, and I have to go for an important event, and that's why he left. So many of the male journalists also could not complete or ask their questions. However, there was a particular question about the plight of women in Afghanistan, their rights, their human rights conditions, and other aspects of the women right in
What
Afghanistan.
did he have to say about that? Yeah.
He said, obviously, their position. So he said that we are there, we are the government there, we are ensuring every country, every government has their own system, and we are ensuring that everyone in Afghanistan gets their right, and everyone, we are ensuring how the system in Afghanistan can work together, and it's an approach by the Taliban administration that we are ensuring law and order, we are ensuring that everyone gets the healthcare and other facilities. So we are there, and we do not expect other governments to preach us, to tell us. This was in reference to the Western governments he was referring to. He said that many people say many things about Afghanistan, but that is a propaganda. We know that how people in Afghanistan, especially be it women or be it
Right.
the other section of the society.
And how well, Pranay, to try and dispel that propaganda, to bar any woman journalist to actually come in and pose any questions, viewers. One might get away by saying that these are domestic issues of a country, but what is happening in Afghanistan is gender appetite. But the sheer fact that what has happened in New Delhi, where Indian women journalists were barred from attending that very press conference, which the Talibani foreign minister actually addressed, will it be picked up officially, while we've accorded full official protocol to the Taliban delegation? Remains to be seen, Geeta. Are we expecting a note of dissent? Are we expecting anything at all? Or will this also die down because there are other diplomatic, strategic, pragmatic issues to look at?
Well, there certainly might be issues to look at, but this is a cause for worry and concern. And the Ministry of External Affairs, if you ask me, should take up the matter. I come from the fraternity. I have been in the business close to 24 years, Preeti, and in all those selective interactions that have taken place, especially if you talk about the Afghan embassy and Afghans, I have never been barred, nor have I, nor all the other senior journalists from the fraternity, women journalists, have ever been barred. So this did come as a surprise, where none of us got the invite.
Geeta and Pranay, appreciate you joining us. Thank you there. We're going to keep a keen eye, because we are, as a collective of India Today, our journalists are going to keep eye on the developments that are actually coming in. Is India going to lodge a note of dissent? Because, viewers, what is happening in Afghanistan is gender appetite. We might have diplomatic reasons to look at it. We might have pragmatic reasons to look at it, especially where the geopolitical situation is concerned. But to give you just an example, it's not that women in Afghanistan are just denied the right to education. They are denied a right to be seen. They're not allowed to step outside. They're not allowed to have windows in their house, because what if somebody catches a glimpse? Moreover, I'll give you a figure. Over 1 lakh women died this time around when the last earthquake took place, because women were not allowed to be touched. They were buried, some of them could be rescued, and they perished. This is the level of gender appetite right now in Afghanistan. With that, I want to quickly shift focus to the story that we're tracking very, very closely right here in India today, and that comes in from the state of Haryana, where the tragic suicide of Haryana IPS officer Y. Puran Kumar has now sparked a massive political storm, all because of his Dalit identity. In his suicide note, he himself alleges deep entrenched bias within the system against Dalits. Of course, it's now blown up politically.
A new round-the-clock security post has been created outside dead IPS officer Y. Puran Kumar's house. His wife, an IAS officer herself, Amir P. Kumar, in a letter to the Chief Minister of Haryana, had earlier asked for this security cover. ADGP Y. Puran Kumar was found dead with a gunshot wound at his Chandigarh residence on Tuesday, 7th October. The Dalit Haryana cadre IPS officer left a 9-page suicide note detailing years of alleged systematic caste-based discrimination in the police force. He named 15 serving and former officials, including Haryana's Chief Secretary and the DGP. His suicide has now become a new political flashpoint. Lok Sabha leader of opposition Rahul Gandhi, in a social media post, labelled his suicide as a symbol of deepening social poison. Congress MP Priyanka Gandhi accused the ruling BJP government of fostering an environment of injustice and violence against Dalits.
जिनके भी नाम लिए गए हैं, और ये एक दिन की बात नहीं है जो उन्होंने इतना बड़ा नोट लिखकर छोड़ा है। पहले भी ये बातें उन्होंने उठाई हैं, तो सरकार ने और पूरे सिस्टम ने इसकी ओर ध्यान नहीं दिया। उल्टा उन्हीं के ऊपर कार्रवाई होती रही बार बार। भाजपा सरकार खुद कटघरे में खड़ी है।
जो भी कार्रवाई बनती है, जिसके खिलाफ बनती है, वो पुलिस, चंडीगढ़ पुलिस कर रही है। इसमें हरियाणा का बहुत ज़्यादा कोई रोल रहने वाला है नहीं, क्योंकि मामला सारा चंडीगढ़ का है, परंतु वो अधिकारी हमारा था।
State bureaucrats and Dalit organizations are demanding actions from the government and immediate arrest of people named in the suicide note of ADGP Y. Puran Kumar.
बेसिक अरेस्ट क्यों नहीं हुए हैं? इमीडिएटली रिस्पॉन्सिबल है भाई पूरन कुमार को मजबूर करने के लिए, ये कदम उठाने के लिए। तो डीजीपी हरियाणा सत्यजीत कपूर एंड एसपी रोहतक, उनके अरेस्ट क्यों नहीं हुआ अभी तक, ये मांगने जा रहे हैं।
पोस्टमार्टम तभी नहीं हो रहा अभी तक?
नहीं, वो आप फैमिली से पूछो।
A day before ADGP Y. Puran Kumar took his life, the second Dalit Chief Justice of India was assaulted in the Supreme Court in the middle of an ongoing proceeding. A lawyer allegedly to defend the Sanatan Dharma hurled shoe at the CJI Gawai. The opposition then called the attack on CJI an attack on the Constitution of India. Few days before 6th October attack on the CJI, a Dalit youth in Rai Bareli, Uttar Pradesh was killed in mob lynching. 38-year-old Hariom, suspected of being a drone chor, lost his life for the widespread rumors across the state. Videos of him being beaten went viral soon. The 3rd October Rai Bareli incident prompted Congress leaders of opposition in both houses of the parliament to issue a joint statement condemning the brutal and cruel murder of a Dalit in a BJP-ruled Uttar Pradesh. 3 incidents within a week under 3 BJP-ruled governments have caused a new stir in Dalit politics in the country. Bureau Report, India Today.
All right, let's quickly cut across to our guest this evening. Joining me, Karan Verma, author, political analyst in the studio, Tehseen Poonawala, political analyst, Dr. Suraj Yengre, Harvard and Oxford scholar, author of Caste Matters, Raghav Awasthi, political analyst, Rashid Kidwai, author and political commentator. We begin with Rashid Kidwai. Rashid Kidwai, the Congress on a clear attempt right now to tie in these multiple independent incidents into one big narrative, especially there is an election in order in Bihar where the Congress has a keen eye on the Dalit vote. It started with the shoe throwing on the Chief Justice of India, who's Dalit, then the lynching of a young boy in Rai Bareli, and now the suicide of an IPS officer in Haryana.
I think, Preeti, this is most unfortunate. Each incident is a blot on our civil society, on our constitutional mechanism, and there is very little accountability. To accuse the opposition of any kind of seeking political mileage is also wrong and uncalled for, because these events are so glaring that it should have actually shaken the collective conscience of our political class, and political parties cutting across party lines and ideologies should have come forward and express solidarity. So it's like me versus they. That kind of narrative is uncalled for, and therefore I think it's very grave. And there are times, and Preeti, we must also make a distinction between a mandate having any kind of impact, or not having an impact. If suppose Bihar goes in a certain way, politically speaking, then it would not mean that what has happened is there is any kind of
Right.
approval, or tacit approval. So we should be very careful about these things. We should not look at from the political prism. This is something that it makes us actually very conscious that in year 2025 these things are happening, and why there is a need for a greater sensitivity towards Dalits, and the political class must hold people who are responsible. It's just one point, that if the Chief Justice of India is being gracious, that does not mean that the culprit can go scot free. That person should be there should be a exemplary action against him. This the thing, that it is not between it was not a personal matter between the CGI and him. It's an insult to the nation.
Fair point. So you're saying independent action should have been taken against the judge, even though the entire incident took place within a courtroom and the Chief Justice of India had forgiven him. He could have been charged with contempt, but he was let go of. Karan Verma, I want to bring you in. This is the job of the opposition. 3 incidents have taken place where, the Chief Justice of this country was attacked inside the premises of a courtroom, and solely on what he had said on the basis of his Dalit identity. Then you have an incident in Rai Bareli where a young boy is lynched whose identity is, of course, Dalit. And then you have an incident of an IPS officer in Haryana whose letter, in his suicide letter, details the fact that he was discriminated against solely on the basis of his identity of being Dalit. Why should the opposition not pick this up as a pattern where it comes down to attacking one particular community? What's wrong with that?
So, Preeti, at the outset, as you just said, that just because there's an election around, we can't just link the 3 and give it an identity. Each case has its own merit. When you talk about the Chief Justice being attacked, he wasn't attacked because he's a Dalit. I condemn the attack. I condemn every single incident. There should be a thorough investigation into this case as well. But to link everything to a BJP government acting against Dalits, that sort of narrative which Rahul Gandhi, Priyanka Vadra and Mallikarjun Kharge are building, I think that's not called for. There are instances of such crimes happening in Congress-ruled states also. Karnataka, for example, Karnataka has actually slashed SC/ST fund. Talk about a policy which is affecting them directly. 14,000 crores slashed from SC/ST funds. So, we can't link it to one particular party or one particular identity. It is wrong and it should be investigated. Having said that, if we start jumping the gun and start looking at everything through the prism of identity, we remember Rohit Vemila's case. Everybody jumped the gun. What happened in March 2024? Not many know that it was the Gachibowli police under the Congress government, the Telangana government, which gave a clean chit to all who were pretty much accused and held an entire media trial was held about abetment to suicide. They were acquitted of that, and it was a suicide due to other reasons. So, let's not jump the gun and let's objectively look at each case rather than painting an entire picture about a party ki ye manuvadi hai. We can't be doing that. We'll be grossly irresponsible if we do something like that, and it's pretty much in line with what Rahul Gandhi wants. He wants figures in the society to be exploited, the fault lines to be exploited. We should avoid and refrain from doing that.
Tehseen Poonawalla, is it as simplistic as this?
I wish it was as simple, but it isn't. The fact of the matter is, when the Chief Justice of India, a shoe is hurled at him, and the attacker goes about giving interviews and is platformed, that it shows the kind of mindset that is going on. I was on another show of a very prominent woman anchor, and full solidarity that the women anchors were not called and the women journalists were not called today. And the person who was defending the BJP, an official BJP spokesperson, said, "Ye kaise Dalit Chief Justice?" I'm using these words very clearly. "Jo Louis Vuitton ka scarf pehante." That is the level of insensitivity in our society as of today. This was a BJP spokesperson on a very prominent journalist show. That's what's happening in our country. Rashid is right. Maybe the Chief Justice has forgiven the attacker, but the attack was a criminal offense. Forget contempt of court. It was a criminal offense. He should have been in jail. Let me ask very humbly with my hands folded, if any other political leader of this attack would have happened, would the attacker have been platformed and celebrated on social media? The fact is somebody who was mob lynched because they thought he was an alleged a criminal, and then the name of a chief minister is taken, shows the kind of mindset we're coming from. The opposition is not just duty bound, it is the moral responsibility of the opposition to bring this out, because this is our country. We cannot allow mob justice and a large section of our fellow citizens to be humiliated. If after 70 odd years of independence, the Chief Justice's shoes thrown and an official spokesperson says, but he wears a Louis Vuitton scarf. Is that where we are heading as a country? And these remarks have happened for Khargeji as well, who also comes from the same community. This community is continuing to be discriminated against. These are not my words, the words of our Honorable Prime Minister.
You know, I want to cut across to Raghav Avasthi right now. Raghav Avasthi, the fact is something that Karun also said, that there is an attempt, especially by the opposition, to create fissures in society on the lines of caste. And I would reckon, you know, one can use that and say it when you come from a position of privilege where the caste hierarchy comes into question. Because I don't think that anybody's going to try and create fissures. Those fissures already exist. One can suggest that you have a political party that is trying to exploit that. You know, that's a question that can be asked. But to suggest that all is well and these, you know, crevices are being created politically would be the wrong reading of where we stand today.
I think as far as the political angle is concerned, I doubt very much that any of this incident is going to have any sort of impact on the election in Bihar. Ultimately, the electorate votes on the basis of what they receive from various political parties. And this sort of news, maybe it might dominate a couple of news cycles, but I don't think it will have so much of an impact on election. The Congress party in any case is irrelevant, and they have been irrelevant for a long time in Bihar. Now, as far as the three incidents are concerned, each and every incident has to be evaluated on its merit. What happened in the courtroom that day was absolutely disgraceful. And this person, this so-called lawyer, should definitely be hauled up for criminal contempt of court. The problem in India is that there are too many lawyers who don't have enough briefs, but they still keep their bar license and they commit sometimes incidents like actions like this just to get some sort of mileage or publicity. So I think that's the first incident. As far as this suicide of this police officer is concerned, it has to be it has to be investigated as thoroughly as possible, and whoever the culprit has to be brought to book. And the same goes for the Raebareli incident. I do not believe in political terms that there is anything like a pan-India Dalit vote. Now I'm talking in my capacity as a student of politics. People vote on the basis of what they feel, on the basis of which party is going to deliver for them, whatever benefits they might get from any political party, is the deciding factor as far as their vote is concerned.
Okay.
And I think it is going to remain this way. Having said that, there are some politicians who become irrelevant. They've lost the third consecutive Lok Sabha election. In any other country, they would have been replaced as the face of the opposition long ago. And I think it's a bit of a systemic problem with the Congress party, which is why they try and behave like an NGO at times.
All right. I want to bring in Dr. Yengre into this conversation. Dr. Yengre, you know, right now there is an attempt from either side. There's an attempt, and I'm just talking about the politics of it all. You can reflect on the social narrative. But you have the opposition that is trying to build in India each of these incidents as a longer and a more cohesive narrative of subjugation of a particular community, which they will or they look at leveraging politically, where there's nothing wrong in that. On the other hand, there is this attempt by the other side to suggest that these are all lone incidents and they've been just tied together. That's not quite the truth, is it, Dr. Yengre?
It's good to see you, Preeti, and I commend the team who put together these three atrocities in a frame to just give us a picture of what just happened in a week's time. And it really ranges from various class, profession, and vocation that we kind of cover. I before coming on this panel, I spoke to current serving Dalit IPS officers and to kind of get their sense of how they look at it and how they, what would their reaction is. And it really, it really starts from the day they pass the exam. And once they get to interviews, and when they get to interviews, obviously the interview bias then delegates them according to the rank. And then despite of all those barriers, some of them, a handful of them, cut through the cutthroat competition and then get the coveted post within the administrative, police, and revenue and so forth department. Now, when they go into this, training and so forth, there's this extremely unhelpful and almost a repressive psychology that works alongside them by fellow trainees, where first of all it is, you got it free, you are a quota candidate, and this just doesn't apply for the people who are in the service. This applies across various schools and colleges and examination. And then it doesn't just happen within the grades of, super class positions, but it happens across the kind of various ranks where people often kind of complain and talk to each other. Now, many, because of this kind of hostility, they're ashamed to disclose their caste. And I remember because they feel that they are from the quota, and oftentimes they just kind of end up living an isolated life. And what does that do, Preeti, is it doesn't really open yourself up to other possibilities of coalition, solidarities, and groups. And many of them just want to just get the job because they've come from almost nothing to what they have. And that creates kind of a double whammy. The first is you isolate yourself from the community and the political experiences that you may have. And then because you're politically incorrect in the situation, you then get doubly targeted. Now, when this happens, what happens is when they're in the service, micro and macro aggressions continue to happen because of their caste. It starts with the position or postings that they want. They can't freely associate with their groups, with their people, or else it will be tamed as these people are favorable. They can't act out of freedom. And more importantly, what the slain IPS officer, Mr. Kumar, wrote, he used the word mental persecution. And this really goes to kind of think about how false charges are leveled against kind of known officers. And this is not an isolated incident. And obviously, what we need to see is this is not just a moment that we need to investigate, right, and which will come in 5 years' time, Preeti. We need to look at this as really a systemic issue, and we really need to overhaul the system. Just tell me, how many IPS, IAS, or IRS, and so forth officers who belong to the SC/ST community have a support base as much as the general category people? And tell me how many Director General of Police belong to SC/ST communities, or how many have they been? We just know this system is corrupt and extremely hostile. Doesn't matter BJP, doesn't matter Mamta, doesn't matter Congress, and so forth. All of these are naked when it comes to performing an actual job of delivering justice.
I'm going to give all of you, I don't have the time because we had some breaking news right on the top, but I'm going to try very hard to give you 30 seconds each to put your point forward. But can we begin with Rashid Kidwai and Karan? We'll come to you after. Go ahead, Rashid ji.
So, Preeti, I was very disappointed with the cold and a kind of mechanical response that my friend Karan and Raghav sought to give, as if, these are the sort of isolated incidents and they're not going to make any kind of political impact, and that the opposition is trying to reap a political, benefit. First of all, each incident is very shocking, particularly the incident of suicide and killing and all are the very extreme and very inhuman, and it's a blot on civil society. Now, to say that the opposition would have any kind of hand in it is absolutely untrue and uncalled for. Opposition is reacting to a situation. And as Dr. Suraj was saying, there is a kind of systemic discrimination that takes place. At least if we cannot do anything, we must acknowledge it, that this is happening. And therefore, in particular in Haryana's case, very quickly I want to say, when the Chief Secretary and the DGP are involved, there should be exemplary sort of action should be taken. We just cannot say because
that's already
election
happening.
It will not make an impact.
That actually, Rashid ji, is already happening. Current 30 seconds. I don't have time, but just try and wrap up.
So I was calling out the hypocrisy of the Congress when it tried to label the BJP and RSS as anti-Dalit, a party that opposed revocation of Article 370, which denied reservation to the Valmiki Samaj for so many years. So the proof of the pudding lies in the eating. When you have a Valmiki scam going on, when you say na jaat pe na paat pe, mohar lagao haath pe, when you oppose Mandal, when Pandit Nehru writes a letter saying, I am against SC/ST reservation because it leads to second-grade citizens, so then you've not walked the talk. The number one organization that has done most for Dalits is Seva Bharati. The number one organization that has done most for tribals is the Vanvasi Kalyan Ashram. So I believe in deliverables on the ground rather than lip service and rather than running narratives during elections.
Raghav Avasthi, 30 seconds, please make your point.
I don't agree with my friend Mr. Kidwai. I don't think mine is a cold, heartless response at all. Having said that, I maintain, and as Mr. Yengde very correctly pointed out, this has nothing to do with the BJP or the Congress, but it has more to do with the systemic issues that we have as a society. Now, we can examine the historical context of it. Having said that, I repeat, it is likely to have zero impact on the Bihar Vidhan Sabha election, and the Congress has zero chances of improving its tally on the basis of these two.
Okay. All right. Tehseen, you wanted to come in for a while. Go ahead.
Everything is not about winning elections. A large section of our fellow citizens are being discriminated against. Even if they are in service, as Dr. Suraj rightly said, they are not breaking the top barriers. Let's, like Uttar Pradesh, how many IPS officers from this community are today police commissioners or SPs of important districts? Zero. How many district magistrates are there? Zero. That is the problem. You've had one Chief Justice of the Supreme Court in so many years, in over last 15 years. That is the problem. They may come to a point, but the glass ceiling still exists and they're not able to break it. And that discrimination continues in our society. Right. It's not about elections. It's about giving dignity to our fellow citizens, irrespective of politics.
Dr. Suraj, sir, 30 seconds. That's all I have. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Preeti. I would like to echo the sentiment shared by all the panelists. They all have heart in the right places, and they would want to communicate the kind of space they want to create for fellow Dalits and Adivasis. And I hope they go back to their constituency and really educate them about the importance of what Constitution stands for. My heart really goes out to the family of the brother IPS Kumar. But also, I think the state should take it as a mandatory exercise in introducing much more deterrent measures and education. I'm not even saying the law, but whenever you get empaneled or you get into service, there should be a compulsory course that educates you about the plight, condition, and the status of SC/ST communities. Right. So when you're educated, you may not commit another atrocity and participate in this horrendous massacre that we see.
Well, gentlemen, thank you for taking the time out and joining us. It's a longer, larger debate that should have been touched on. My apologies. We had a bit of news break right on top, and that needed to be addressed. Thank you for joining us. With that, I want to quickly step into more news break that's coming. The NDA seat allocation for the Bihar elections will be announced tomorrow. It's all done and dusted, I hear. And it will be announced on Saturday, which is tomorrow in Patna. The BJP core group will meet in Delhi on Sunday. On Monday, the BJP Central Election Committee will meet to finalize the names of candidates for the Bihar Assembly elections. So that's the latest news that is coming in right now. Aishwarya Paliwal breaking the news. Aishwarya, it seems all seat sharing talks now done and dusted, the number crunching over, all the posturing come to a rest. Numbers will be out tomorrow in terms of seat sharing.
Well, definitely, Preeti, this is something that we will be looking at. And let me tell you, we have seen a lot of tug and war. We have also seen the visuals, of Dharmendra Pradhan, Vinod Tawre, Nityanand Rai, all of them back and forth. A lot of conversation, a lot of meetings with the likes of Chirag Paswan. We have heard that Upendra Kushwaha also is someone, who's had a series of meetings with the BJP leaders. The NDA now is all set. They have divided the seats amongst all the allies. They will now be making the announcement tomorrow, and who will be contesting on the BJP seats, that is something that the CEC will decide. The CEC will take place on Monday. So we should see over the course of the next 4 to 5 days, everything will be crystal clear. We are also understanding that there is also likely an official announcement being made by the NDA with regards to Nitish Kumar, that he's the one who will be the chief minister for the NDA. So that's also something that we are expecting happening in the next couple of days.
Aishwarya, will this announcement be made?
We should be expecting this announcement over the course of the next 3 to 4 days, because from what we are understanding, the opposition also is very clearly looking at coming out on 12th. That's what we are understanding. It will be the opposition, and then we will see the NDA also coming out and formally making this announcement. That will be a big announcement. But at the moment, the crucial news, in the next 24 hours, we will see the announcements with regards to the NDA bloc, who will be fighting, how many seats, all that will be made clear in that press conference that will happen.
All right. Thank you, Aishwarya, for joining us. So Viewers, it's been a hectic week of fair amount of political posturing, but the number crunching over now, and by tomorrow we'll have the NDA seat sharing arrangement, and Congress will follow soon. And then in the next couple of days, you have to come up with the names of candidates, because 17th October is the final date to submit your nominations if you're in phase 1, and phase 2 is the 20th of October. And 20th of October is also the date of taking your nomination back if you don't want to contest. So now to a very disconcerting story that has been unfolding. The killer cough syrup controversy continues to expand. After a pharma factory in Tamil Nadu was found with over 350 violations, an India Today investigation has now found shocking revelations in Madhya Pradesh, where a drug testing van sits unused as contaminated syrups continue to kill children. As probe continues and the death toll due to cough syrup mounts, questions are being raised over the gaps in India's drug regulatory system.
The man behind the tragedy that has shaken the nation. The main accused in the cough syrup controversy, the owner of cold drift making company Srisan Pharma, and the man who was arrested in Tamil Nadu on Thursday, has been brought to Madhya Pradesh for further investigation. He was tracked down to a relative's house after days on the run and was reportedly planning to flee abroad. Investigators say more arrests are likely as they continue to track the lapses found at the cold drift making pharma plant. As questions continue to be raised over the failures in drug regulation, an India Today investigation has found Bhopal's mobile drug testing van lying abandoned in an abhorrent condition. It was purchased in 2022 to test drug samples on site, but the drug testing van now sits unused and rusting in Madhya Pradesh's capital.
ये आप देख रहे हैं, ये मोबाइल ड्रग टेस्टिंग लेबोरेटरी किस हाल में खड़ी है राजधानी भोपाल के FDA लैब में, हम आपको दिखा रहे हैं। ये एक मोबाइल ड्रग टेस्टिंग लेबोरेटरी है, साफ तौर पे लिखा हुआ है शब्दों में, ये देखिए आप, ये मोबाइल ड्रग टेस्टिंग लेबोरेटरी है, यानी इसका काम है जिस जगह पे नमूने हैं, सैंपल्स हैं, अगर वहाँ पे कोई शिकायत प्राप्त हुई है तो ये वैन वहाँ जाएगी और वहीं पे उस दवाई का टेस्ट होगा, सैंपल का टेस्ट होगा और उसकी रिपोर्ट दी जाएगी। लेकिन देखिए किस तरीके से झाड़ झंकार के बीच में, झाड़ियों के बीच में फिलहाल ये मोबाइल ड्रग टेस्टिंग लेबोरेटरी की वैन जंग खा रही है।
The van is supposed to speed up testing, but India Today's investigation has revealed that sample testing from places like Chhindwara still takes as long as 3 days.
एक बड़ी खामी जो बार बार निकल के सामने आती है कि जो टेस्टिंग के लिए नमूने होते हैं वो कई दिनों के बाद टेस्ट लैब में पहुंचते हैं। अब जैसे ये 7 अक्टूबर का सैंपल था दवाइयों का जो पहुंचा ग्वालियर से निकला है और यहाँ पे पहुंचा है, जो टेस्ट लैब है यहाँ पे वो तकरीबन 3 दिन बाद यहाँ पहुंचा है 10 तारीख को, और जाहिर सी बात है जब उसकी टेस्टिंग होती है तो इसमें 1-2 दिन और लगेंगे, कम से कम 2 दिन का समय मान के चला जाए, टेस्टिंग में भी लग जाएगा। तो जो बड़ी वजह है कि टेस्टिंग जो देरी से होती है उसकी एक बड़ी वजह है कि जो लैब्स हैं वो कम हैं।
This investigation raises serious questions over whether the child deaths were easily avoidable. Because if the van had been in a working condition, could testing have been done on time, and in turn, perhaps the tragedy in Chhindwara could be prevented.
सामान्य तौर पर ये रजिस्टर्ड डाक से ही सैंपल आते हैं, परंतु अब हम ये एक निर्देश जारी कर रहे हैं कि अत्यावश्यक परिस्थितियां जैसे इस प्रकरण में थी तो विशेष वाहक के माध्यम से उसमें रेड फ्लैग लगा के और ये तत्काल भेजे जा सकते हैं और यहाँ तत्काल हम उसको टेस्ट की व्यवस्था कर सकते हैं जिससे कोई भी भविष्य में अब इस प्रकार का विलंब ना हो।
A pharma factory in Tamil Nadu with over 350 violations. A pharma firm in Rajasthan that has continued syrup supply after being banned twice. And now a drug testing van in Madhya Pradesh that sits unused as contaminated syrups continue to endanger the lives of our children. How many more regulatory failures remain veiled in a drug system that has failed its own children? With Ravish Pal Singh in Bhopal, Bureau Report, India Today.